Do we want to get into? Let's talk a little bit about how the Charger and Challenger are going to be going away.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
this
boy,
is
boy, as you know it.
This is on the one hand, we kind of all saw this coming, and if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you knew it was coming, and if you haven't listened to us for any amount of time, why not? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're watching this in video format, please and thank you. We would appreciate that very much. So I'm gonna take this I have some comments, I have some thoughts, no surprise there, but probably not what you would expect. But I gotta tell you, Jay, like I've spent a little bit more time on Twitter recently. By the way, we're at The Counter Show on Twitter, everybody, if you want to follow us. And this is a heavily brought up point of conversation in automotive feeds. In fact, anytime that the official Dodge account makes a comment, there's usually someone with a response that has to do with the discontinuation of both the Challenger and the Charger in the internal combustion form. Like it's not going over well. And I would even go so far as to say, Jay, when we introduced the the C8 Corvette, mid-engine, and you went out and you talked to some people about how they felt about that, and it was kind of polarizing.
It was really polarizing. In fact, to the point to where we could not even put on tape what some people had to say about it. It was so disturbing how angry they were about it. Really,
this is I think more polarizing than that, if that's possible. Yeah. And what I'm worried could happen is people could just, the 5 fans that Stellantis has today, I'm kidding, everybody, they may go somewhere else. And the fact that everybody's going EV and you're not going to have a choice, I don't think is going to matter to people. They're just going to be done with it. I hope I'm wrong. But, man, I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see how Stellantis handles this, but it's going to be a tricky road to navigate.
Well, I think we saw the writing on the wall. Back a year ago, Keith. Whenever two things here to point out. Stellantis came out and said, "There's no way that we can keep up with the all-electric demand that." Is being pushed. Financially, we just cannot do that. So what do you do to compete with that? You got to start cutting things. And when they disassembled the SRT team and then just kind of dispersed them across the Stellantis group in various directions, whether it be Fiat, Alfa, whoever, they all went in those directions. And so we knew that something was going to be happening. But when you see them cramming a Hellcat into a Jeep, cramming one into a Ram, we're thinking, oh, there's hope for the internal combustion engine with Dodge and Jeep and Ram, and Stellantis as a whole. I'm thinking, well, that's great. That's their flagship. The Hemi was it was their flagship over the last decade for sure. Now we're cutting 2 of their iconic vehicles that it's like, you remember the hamburger commercials, man, where the Hardys or whoever it was that just had the huge hamburgers that had like 3 or 4 patties on them, like just way too much, and these commercials, they're just dripping juice down. That's what, if you put that against what the Charger and the Challenger were in the automotive industry, that's what they are.
All right.
Does that make sense to you? Does that analogy?
Yes. So let's break this down a little bit, because I've spent some time thinking about this, okay? And I'm sure you have too.
Right.
There's really, of the people that buy these automobiles, Challenger and Charger, there's really 2 big appeals. There are other appeals. There's a list when you go and you're like, I like these factors, but there's 2 that are always way at the top. This car gets used in a lot of drag races on the
Absolutely.
weekends. I know YouTubers that do that, and then they're, out there putting the content out, right? So the first category is that iconic sound. Okay. Right. And that's a draw. Like, whether you like it or not, that very throaty, gnarly, hemi sound is iconic as the brand is itself, right?
It's as iconic as the Harley Davidson sound.
Yeah.
Which
you hear them, like when I see one on the street, I'm disappointed if I don't get to hear that.
Right.
If that guy doesn't get on it when the light changes or whatever, I feel a little bit cheated.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I have to say here, and we don't talk about it very much on our show, but we're going to talk about it today, which is the history of basically the performance side. MOPAR, man. I mean, it's MOPAR. This has hit hard for the Mopar crowd.
Okay. So now you're bringing up my second point. And my second point is power. This car, in a straight line, sorry if you guys that are trying to put these on tracks are offended by that comment, but I hold to it. In a straight line, they're tough to beat. There's a reason why you see a lot of these in the neighborhood or the little community quarter-mile weekend Friday night events, because there's a lot of power distribution to those rear wheels from that engine, and they do really, really well in drag races. So as far as that goes, and as far as the Mopar crowd is concerned, Dodge makes an effort to speak to them with this this concept vehicle that they released a short video on. Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yes.
And did you happen to notice that the person narrating it sounds an awful lot like Vin Diesel?
Yes.
And so if it's not Vin Diesel, it really sounds like somebody that's a sound-alike, right?
True.
And they focus in that commercial on just raw power. I mean, all four wheels are smoking, so they're showing you it's an electric vehicle with power to all four wheels. They're going out of their way for that Mopar crowd to say, we got your power. It's coming.
Yeah. Absolutely. But sadly, what's funny is they have canned sound, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the mockery
because
of this.
It's electric.
Absolutely, it is.
And that weaves us back to my first point of why people buy these things to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they like to hear that iconic sound.
If you artificially put that in there, you're gonna get laughed at. I don't see that being appealing.
Well, it's not appealing, and they were demonstrating that sound, which, by the way, they call it the FRATZONIC, which comes from. And you'll notice the logo when they revealed this. It's right on the front of the car, the FRATZOG logo that was used by Mopar or Dodge from 62 through 76. It basically features a split deltoid made of 3 arrowhead shapes that form a 3-pointed star. That was pretty iconic back in the days. But they're using that on this electric version of this Challenger. And they wanted to bring the sound for you. They wanted to tag it with something, so they call it FRATZONIC sound. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I think it's stupid. I don't know what else to say about it. Now, let's get past that.
Well,
okay,
okay, and
you don't want.
No, that's
Go ahead.
fine. I'm. Yeah.
I could see this car coming out, but don't call it an SRT Daytona Challenger.
So I'm going to split hairs with you here on something, and I know this is superficial, and it's you guys that are real muscleheads can make fun of me for pointing to this, but it bothers me. It bothers me, and I'm willing to bet that I'm not alone in this. So you actually, and I don't know if this was like a Freudian slip or what, a couple minutes ago, you referred to this as the Challenger. It's not. Yeah. It's the Charger Daytona SRT concept.
Oh, see, it is a.
But here's why you probably did that, and this is the problem that I have with this concept vehicle. How many doors you see, Jay?
Yeah.
How many doors does a Challenger have?
2.
How many doors does a Charger have?
4.
For those of you keeping up at home, this one has 2 doors, and they are calling it a Charger.
That's right.
I can't.
And that was a slip.
No, that is not okay. That is not okay. I like I said, you guys that are, if it's got 2 doors, it needs to be a Challenger, which is what you called it, but it's got 4 doors.
Well, if you look at the and also if you, and to err on my side a little bit even more, if you look at the body overall, it does definitely look like a Challenger.
Yeah, I mean, but why are we? Yeah, so
does it even really matter?
So you're going to further homogenize this whole situation even more so than you already have, and okay, and this goes into a little bit of the Dodge Omni thing that we're probably not going to get into, but
I don't even see it's an Omni. I don't want to talk about that either. Yeah,
but the Kia Stinger was a good example of this, and to some extent, the Charger is also a good example of this. It's for those people that want a muscle car but need 4 doors.
Right.
And Porsche's gotten into that over a decade ago, and there is proof in sales numbers that there are people that want that you must have more than 2 doors, but you still want to have a muscle car.
Right.
And I feel like that's been the crowd that they were able to cater to with the Charger. And I feel like to some extent that's also what they were trying to do with the Omni. And I feel like if you're going to throw 2 doors on it, you're marketing that to a completely different crowd. A lot of times those people don't have kids, or it's a third car, what have you. But your enthusiasts, the people that are interested in that, are not the same people. If you call it a Charger, they're not going to buy it if it only has 2 doors. So okay, I'll put that one to bed.
That's a very valid point, and I mean I don't even. The 2-door, 4-door thing didn't even come to my mind, and yeah, I can definitely see me mistaking that with the name, but I mean that's just a slip of some, Freudian, whatever, I don't know whatever you call it, but I'm just having a whole problem with this thing, period, because I just don't understand how you can call it a muscle car, and that's what they're trying to do here, and they're throwing everything they possibly can at it that would piss off a Mopar guy, which, the FRATZONIC logo, associating Daytona with it. I mean, come on. Is there an electric vehicle? When is the first NASCAR electric vehicle hitting the track?
Okay, so let's take that to another level, and let's look at the competition. Ford, Chevrolet, General Motors. Okay, all the other guys, and I'm not trying to say that you do what everybody else is doing, but it would seem to me like your performance sector, you wait. Those are the last ones that you retire. You leave your internal combustion engines in your Mustangs, in your Corvettes, and so on. Even Corvette has said our next generation that contains electric, it's not going to be all electric. It's going to be electric assist. So you're going to still have some engine sound. I feel like making this one of the first vehicles. I mean, they don't even have, they're doing away with both of those cars, and they don't even have an electric pickup truck out yet. They've announced it's coming, but it's not out yet. Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would have thought that to ease themselves into that electric vehicle market heavily, which obviously they are moving that direction, but I'm still so baffled that this GLH that they just came out with is
goes like hell. Yeah,
it's a 2.0 liter turbo. It's not. It's a gasoline engine.
For somebody that wants performance, but they can't afford a bigger car. and they need a sedan. They need a car, right? They, not a minivan or a truck or whatever. And honestly, and everybody, I welcome your comments, right?
Well,
maybe I'm missing something here, but it is starting to look like they don't know what the hell they're doing at Stellantis.
Well, that's the thing, and I think we said that in previous podcasts that they're all over the place right now.
Well, a year ago, their CEO came out and said, we can't afford to go all electric. It doesn't make sense for us. And then they did a 180 on that, and now it's like they're fishing,
I'll say this. I think that they dropped their line in a very in a pond of piranhas with this one, buddy, because I just don't understand how you can do that. One vehicle, cut one vehicle, the Charger.
Sure. There you go. Yeah.
Cut the Charger.
Play around with that
because of what it is. Don't come out of the chute calling it a Daytona and putting the FRATZONIC logo on there and making it sound like this thing is going to be the next thing since sliced bread. That is yet to come to fruition.
And ironically, racing. And I think there's more made of this story maybe than there should be. But
really?
The Idaho State Police announced, kind of coincidentally, that they would not be buying any more. What were they? They were Chargers, right? They were the 4-doors. And they said, nah, we're done. Now,
it's the Charger Pursuit is what they call it.
Yeah, right. That could be for a lot of reasons. It could be that a lot of these police departments are needing more SUVs, and they're better suited for that.
And when you look into this and the story that we are referring that Keith and I got our hands on, this was in 2019 where they were moving away from the Charger Pursuit, and they ordered a bunch of Ford SUVs, which would be the Explorers, probably the Police Interceptor, which is not uncommon.
But we know, and we've commented on this many times, that EVs do great 0 to 60, and in a lot of ways they will beat most internal combustion engines. But it's that sustained high-speed pursuit that they do not do well at. That's where your internal combustion engine, when you get into speeds of 100 miles an hour plus, which if this is highway patrol, yes, they're doing that. I've been in cars, hey Jerry, with with these guys in the fog, holding my nuts, hoping we don't, a deer doesn't run out in front of us, doing 100 plus in, with state troopers. Not. By the way, let me clarify. Not in the back seat, not with handcuffs. This was back in the days of ride-along. Just to be clear. Okay.
Right.
But I'm saying that they a lot of times have to respond quickly. These guys are trained to drive fast. They do it all the time. We've seen them do it on the interstates. If you're going to do that in an EV, it's probably not the best suited application.
Probably not. So to that end, they're saying New York City has already ordered 184 Ford Mustang Mach-Es.
Well, different, right? Because they don't have wide open interstate that they need to do pursuit, right?
And I did not realize this, that the Chevrolet has introduced the 2024 Blazer EV police pursuit vehicle.
Well,
the SUVs, the crossovers are becoming more and more common with the police departments. I see that a lot more.
There's good reason for that,
Yeah, the Ford, they can carry their gear.
Right.
And they can still throw 2 people, 3 people in the back end in handcuffs and still make it work. Especially if you're a K9 unit, they work out very well.
Bringing back the paddy wagon.
Gosh, man, I swear. Look, people, stay tuned. I mean, I'm not happy about seeing that go away, but it is. And
but Jay, you love EVs. That's all you talk about is electric vehicles.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Well,
I keep telling you guys we're objective on this program. We just tend to try to deal in, facts.
Well, we take a lot of flack for talking about it. That is for sure, and we don't talk about it intentionally.
We go where the story is.
We just want to bring you where the news is, and unfortunately, for you internal combustion engine lovers out there and us. electric vehicles have taken the spotlight lately, and it's not going away. There's a big bill that was just passed that I'm sure a lot of you are not happy about. That's encouraging the more production of EVs. It's happening, folks. So